Hello, beautiful people. This video is all about spirit guides. Could your spirit guides be wreaking havoc on your life and making you feel a little crazy? Well, by the end of this video, you're going to know what a spirit guide is, how to listen for them, and how to know if it's outdated, and how to update your spirit guides. So welcome to the tribe. My name's Rebecca Abraxas. So if you're here, you're probably on an awakening journey. You probably have heard the term spirit guide, and you're wondering, how could it be wreaking havoc on your life? Well, I'm so glad you're here. If you'd like more videos on topics about awakening and remembering your greatness and how sound and your own voice can create a path for awakening and ease and peace in your life, be sure to definitely subscribe and click that bell. So let's dive into our topic today, which is spirit guides. So I was meditating today and it just occurred to me, this topic. And it's interesting because I sometimes don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing my videos on. And this is what came through to talk about today, is that our spirit guides can literally be making us a little crazy if we don't upgrade them. So the awakening process, it's a journey, it's a progression, it's not perfection, and we don't get to the finish line. So with that said, it's always shifting and changing, okay? And so your guidance and your intuition and your awareness will always be shifting too. Now, the problem, it is a problem, the problem with getting attached to a certain spiritual practice or a spiritual path and the guidance that comes with that spiritual path is that we're always evolving, we're always shifting, we're always awakening. So it's really important to be open to change and shift in our awakening process. So I did mention that I would tell you what even is a spirit guide. Really, what a spirit guide is an aspect of you along the way. Okay. And the thing is, an aspect of you can be an aspect of you that is a little bit higher up on your awakening journey to give you guidance and come this way. Or eventually, it's below vibrationally where you are and starts to give you guidance from a place that you're not vibrating from anymore. Okay, so basically, spiritual guidance is kind of your intuition, is a little spark of like, ooh, I should go this way. Or it could even be a download. After meditation, you might get words written down, or you might get an image. Okay, so all of this is guidance. It can come in all different ways. You can see it, you can hear it, you can know it, and you can feel it. And this guidance even can come in like a little whisper. But as you are awakening and on your awakening journey, the frequency of that guidance is really important to tune into, because the frequency could be helping you raise your consciousness and expand your consciousness and awareness, or it could be keeping you at a lower consciousness, a lower vibration. So that's why it's so important to realize where you are in your expansion process and your awakening process, and to also start to become aware of when it's time to upgrade and when it's time to say goodbye. Now, some of us can get pre-attached to our spirit guides. We've named them, they've come in, they just have this kind of real taking care of you type of vibe. But as we know, in the awakening process and in the spiritual journey, detachment is key. We will be unhooking and detaching from so much in our lives as we go forth on the awakening journey. Now, my journey has been very interesting because my journey has been through voice, my awakening process. And as I became a singer-songwriter, exploring my voice and opening my voice, I started to realize that I was getting guidance. Something was writing my songs for me, like it was just coming through. And then I started to notice that guidance was coming through in other ways too, like just giving me symbols to sing while I was doing Reiki with people, or I was doing energy healing with people. There would be a symbol and I would know what sound to make. And so that's guidance from a higher aspect of ourselves, of myself. And then that started to shift. And I was really attached to songwriting in that way. And I was really attached to using my voice in that way too. And then all of a sudden it went blank. Stopped writing songs. The symbols stopped. Okay. And I had to really tune in. Okay. That guidance is gone. That spirit guide is gone. Because as you keep meditating and getting transmissions and awakening, you vibrationally go higher and higher and go past some of those guidance points. Now, it came to a point this year that I actually even had to let go of an angel program. I know that sounds kind of weird, but in my 20s, I had prayed to like angels and asked for support and guidance to sing from an angelic perspective, to be of service on the planet. But that was in my 20s, and now I'm 49, and what was happening is that angelic consciousness was capped. I actually rose above it, and I kept trying to have guidance from here. In the fall, I took that aspect of myself and unhooked from it, and then integrated it back into my source self. And it was actually a little painful to let go of that, but it was required. And since then, the frequency that's coming out of my voice with the sound healing is way more potent and of a higher caliber. Sometimes we have to say goodbye to those spirit guides that have given us so much. So when you are letting them go, be sure to have so much gratitude. All right, so one, our spirit guides are there. They're aspects of ourselves, and they can be higher frequency and calling us up. Once we get to that frequency, we may raise above them, and then it's time to upgrade. Now, why could that be making us a little crazy? Because here we are raising our vibration, and we're learning how to sustain that vibration in these bodies. And here is our spirit guide. They're giving us guidance, but from a lower frequency. So what happens is you go lower to get that, and you start following from a lower frequency, and then yet your whole being's calling you higher. So it's this kind of like bump, bump, bump. It's kind of like this flip-flop game. And it can be painful, and it can create a lot of like depression and exhaustion and even crazy feelings. It's like, why do I have this knowing from, basically from a higher frequency, but I'm being guided here? So there's this discrepancy of frequency, and it's back and forth and flopping you all around. And it can make you feel a little crazy. It could be kind of like a mental health crisis. It could be kind of a dark night of the soul. And so basically, there's an ego death that needs to happen. We have to detach from here. So ego sometimes is a triggering word, but honestly, like if we're attached to a certain spiritual way and attached to a certain spirit guide, there's a little ego there. Oh, we found our way. I've got it all figured out. This is what's guiding me. Okay, I don't have to think. I don't have to grow. I don't have to grow in awareness. This is going to help me. But there's a little ego death that has to happen. We have to detach from that frequency, have gratitude for that aspect of ourself, and say, it's now time for me to rise above this, and let it envelop back into source energy or the light. So that's what a spirit guide is. That's why it's going to make you a little crazy when it's outdated. So you're going to feel that discrepancy. So what do you do about it? It's important to tune into your highest frequency, okay? Meditation, and you just ask, I'm tuning into my highest self, my highest aspect of myself. Whatever does not match that frequency, I release, cut, and let go with gratitude. Okay? And this may need to happen a few times, but you really have to come up to your highest frequency, highest aspect of yourself and kind of make a demand that anything lower frequency guides, thank you, and I release you. Okay? Now, from there, you may have a few wobbly days because you may feel really alone. You may feel sad. This aspect of yourself has been guiding you for a while, okay? You may feel confused because you're so used to getting this type of guidance. You might feel like a little like lost in the ether, okay? That's really normal. It's okay. Don't go running back. Don't go like dropping down in frequency to find it, okay? Keep asking your consciousness to go to its highest self and ask, what is my spirit guide now? Who and what is my spirit guide now for my highest good and my highest awakening and ascension? This wording is really important because also what could be guiding us are energies that we've asked to come in when we were having a hard time. Angelics, even demons meaning like an energy that comes in for a job that you asked for. Okay, so for example, a lot of times when we're having a hard time in life, right? You know, someone passes or, just our mental health starts to go and we're depressed. Like, please, I need help. And we're praying for help. An energy comes in and says, dun, 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 I'll help. And it's basically a demon is a set frequency that comes in to help when you're asking for it. But guess what? It's a capped consciousness because it comes in when you are at a certain frequency. So it will cap your consciousness. So one of those that really has to go when you start raising your vibration and expanding your consciousness. So all those have to go. Certain entities come in. Certain entities come in when you jump out of your body because of a certain trauma. Certain entities kind of come on in and help you, and they're there for a while, but they have a fear frequency, right? They want to protect you. They're very protective. They have a voice of like, they're very alert and very protective, and they're fear-based. We want to let go of those guides too. So again, these are aspects of ourselves or certain entities that have come in to help, but they've capped our consciousness. So as you start to do your morning practice, meditate, have a desire to feel better and lighter, your vibration's raising, and to sustain it, you're going to have to really get firm and let go of anything down here, any aspect of yourself, any entity, demon that really has come in to help you, but they have a capped consciousness, and now you have to rise above it. And once again, I'll recap. To do that, you're going to get in your highest vibration, meditate, really come into your highest self, okay? And then you're going to say, anything that's not sanctioned by me at my highest self and is not for my highest good, I'm going to ask to leave now. Cut, uncreate, destroy, go back to the light, however you want to say that. And clear that out. And this will help you start to sustain your higher frequency. Okay, now the cool part about this is that if you're into using your voice and sound healing, you will start singing from this higher frequency and not from these lower frequencies where your consciousness is capped. And oh my gosh, what comes through your voice and from a frequency level is so soothing. And you start to really be able to activate your light and source energy through your voice pretty quickly once you clear up the lower frequencies. So I just see everything as frequencies, but you may hear people describe them as entities and demons and angels and archangels, ascended masters, all this stuff. Even ascended masters can be lower than you at this point in history, because we're in this great awakening, and ascension, where the frequency that they ascended may be different from where we are right now in this great awakening, where we're able to embody higher frequencies. So there's even some ascended masters that could be your guides that you've outgrown. So just clean up all that lower frequency stuff and really claim your higher frequency, so you stop that kind of flip-flopping. Notice what's coming through your voice. So you can just play with a simple Om. So it's a fun little experiment is do some Oming before you do this kind of upgrading clearing. And then after you've done the clearing, do some Oming, and just after you Om like 3 times, sit quietly and notice if you have a different sense of frequency that's in that Om. By all means, get in touch with me. I'd be happy to help you with this on a Zoom call. Beautiful beings, what questions do you have about spirit guides and about upgrading your spirit guides and about how that can help you sustain higher frequencies? Did this all make sense? Let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. To recap, it's super important to not be attached to the frequency that we are, the spiritual path we're on, and the guides that we are working with. The awakening journey is all about detaching. And as you go along, especially in this time of the Great Awakening, there's times where people have been on the same spiritual pathway for lifetimes. But during this Great Awakening, you may find yourself going through spiritual paths next, next, next. And some people might have judgment about that. Just disregard them, okay? And because what's happening with this Great Awakening is that each spiritual path usually has a cap to the frequency. And so one spiritual path may lead up to a certain frequency for you, and then you have to move that aside and go to the next one so you can get higher in your frequency, move that aside. And then eventually you get to a path of simplicity and sovereignty with source. Think of this just column of light, and nothing else is required, okay? And that column of light is you, and you embody the light, and that's ascension. And even from there, your frequency can keep rising because it's an expanding universe. But our spirit guides are aspects of ourself, frequencies that help us along the way that become outdated because we rise above in frequency than them. So we got to clear that so that we can take our place in our higher self, and then our higher self, and then our higher self. And by being willing to detach from whatever dogma or spiritual path that we have been called to, even if it was like a month-long visit in that path, and you're like, I feel done with it. Honor that. Honor your knowing. Honor that awareness. Please. You will find that there is so much more bliss and ease if you're willing to detach. Do not stay with an energy that feels outdated. I can't even tell you how many times I have, for the sake of a good spiritual practitioner, stayed in a certain locked consciousness for the sake of the path. Okay? If you notice that you're expanding quickly, let go of the path, get to the next one, let go of the path, get to the next one. Follow your knowing and disregard anyone else's judgment. This is your awakening journey. This vibration that you are cultivating of your higher self comes out into your voice. There's one last thing I want to say about oppositional forces. So as you raise your vibration, there are energies called oppositional forces that don't want you to get that high. So another reason to kind of keep clearing the lower frequencies. So oppositional forces are forces that don't want to see you go higher and with more awareness because they have certain agendas. So that's why it's so important to know what your higher self feels like, clear any energies that don't match that, and really say to yourself, I am in alignment with my highest self at source. Or if you don't like to say at source, just my highest self or my highest good and my highest ascension. You know, when you are aware how to command energies, nothing can affect you. Nothing can really glom onto you, but it's your awareness that's going to do that. So if you're not aware of that and you refuse to detach from things, that's when these oppositional forces can start kind of playing with you. And again, because they're usually a lower frequency, they're just going to make you flip-flop. And it can be really uncomfortable. So be diligent. Be diligent with your awareness. Be diligent with your boundaries energetically. I hope this was helpful. This will create so much more ease and joy in your life. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Let's start the conversation going. All right. Thanks so much for being here, beautiful being. And be sure to join the tribe. Namaste.